Bananas.
Again. I was waiting for the crash. Oof, thank God.
Yeah, it's like just waving, like with some momentum.
IFBB Pro Mike Sommerfeld wird dir präsentiert von Climax. Deinem Profi für Fitness Essentials.
Climax.
Switch. Yeah, put your hand through that way. There you go.
I've never ever done these.
Oh, you haven't? All right.
Never.
Sweet. Stop for a second when you're down. I'm gonna put this one higher.
So you don't want me to go down to the floor? It's like...
So keep your hands here and just go, and I'll tell you what to do. Yeah, don't overthink it. The cable will tell you where to go. Pull against the cable and just keep it smooth to finish. There you go. And I'll probably mess around with a couple different heights because, like I said, I do both, so it's not like there's one definitively better than the other.
Feels
higher at the top.
Feels
And you
good.
keep it nice and slow. Good. And smooth to finish. There we go. That's money right there. And just smooth it out a little bit. Not because I really want you going slow, just because you haven't done it before. Give me a little pause at the bottom. And then a little pause and squeeze to the top. That's the unique thing you'll get with that setup. It's pretty comfortable to fully contract the
That
delta.
feels pretty comfortable.
Yep.
It feels like it aligns like perfectly.
Yep. Squeeze. Let's go 2 more. Nice.
Fuck, that's my new favorite exercise
Yeah, they're good.
for shoulders.
Getting in and out's the only pain in the butt. But once you get over that part. Let's go like 2 more. Squeeze. Good. 1 more. Yep. Yeah.
If you need to choose one exercise for shoulders, what would it be? Side laterals?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a bit individual dependent because I don't think it's wrong for people to prioritize overhead pressing because obviously that gets predominantly front delt, but you get a lot of side delt as well too. You know, so it's like one of those things, if somebody's like newer, I think they should prioritize overhead press. Like just, I don't know, all I mean by prioritize is just do it before you do your laterals. But generally, like the longer guys are doing it that are actually big, you know, your front delt can just get plenty of stimulus most of the time from all your pressing and then overhead pressing. So lots of times I'll have people do lateral raises first just because it's like one of those things you can still like never be too wide, you know, and so if you're just gonna be efficient with your stimulus, lots of times I'll put them first. But it's still an individual thing. It's like, and even then, if I thought somebody needed a more side delt and their front delt was pretty good, you know, some of it will still keep growing, just incorporating lateral raises and doing it properly. You just like, you have to do them first. But at some point in time, again, it's like when you're actually big and you're kind of like, obviously you're working with like 4 pounds you can put on, being a little bit more precise with it, I think it makes a little bit more sense to put them earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, the bananas, yeah, that's the secret.
Bananas.
I just want to say we have every handle attachment.
All the things.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Get me out of here.
I always say that if I had like Elon Musk money, you just want to like, I've got the stupidest money and I just want to invent something completely useless.
Yeah.
I want like a leg extension or leg curl that when you're done, you just hit a button and it like just goes like, and like disassembles. Yeah, you just adjust.
Disappears.
It's like a one-time use. It's like, but I got out so quick.
And another
Like when you got-
brand new one comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you got billions,
I
why
love
not?
Americans.
What else am I going to do with it?
Americans are so great.
right there. Drive wide, hard squeeze. There we go. Smooth reps now. Hard squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. There we go. Come on now. Pause. Squeeze, really smooth. Again. Go. Go, 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 go. Nice. Come on, let's go. Go, 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 go. Yeah. Nice job. Really good.
It's already time to do the monkey. Worst part is taking a shower after shoulders. Yeah, it's like just waving, like with some momentum, put your head on your head and yeah, kind of. Like because you're not able to lift your arm anymore.
Like Conor
Oh
McGregor.
no, he's setting up the shoulder press now. My shoulder is smoked. I'm gonna get so sore. So sore. Volume versus intensity versus
Volume versus what?
frequency.
Volume, intensity versus frequency.
You know, I think you should have a pretty consistent intensity, as close as like proximity to failure. So that's like the one thing that should just be a staple, and everything else kind of works around that.
Quick one, just in between. Would you prefer going all out, Dorian Yates type-ish all out, like to death, or just go to straight failure and that's fine, or like one rep in reserve?
Overall, a little exercise dependent and also a little individual dependent. So all that means is like, honestly, you just need to find what you progress with best over time. And then also I'd say on bigger movements, you probably need less. And on smaller movements, you can actually get away with that a little bit more, sometimes more necessary. So again, if you're on like, you know, arms or something or whatever, if you're going literally all the way to complete failure, or even the teeny bit past, depending on the exercise, I don't think that's as big of a deal. Whereas on bigger movements, lots of times because of the load and just because of sometimes the complexity of the movement, just taking it right to like, you know, technically just shorter form failure, depending on the exercise, is probably enough. You know, but all that being said is like, in general, the closer to failure you get, the more force production you're gonna get. So that's why I say like figure out that variable first, and then from there you start to mess around with the frequency thing next, and then kind of looking at volume even after that.
So volume is the most adjustable thing depending on recovery and performance and
Yeah, because
feeling.
in general, all other things, like the most simple way to look at it is like, say, pick whatever your favorite exercise is for any body part, chest, whatever. Like whatever allows you, like if you look at, okay, here's my best form, here's the weight I'm doing for 8 reps, whatever allows you to basically maintain that form and get to a heavier weight the fastest is going to be the best way. You know, so that's why I look at you establish kind of what, again, proximity to failure works best for you, which again, most people, especially looking at the way most people train, you know, training close to sometimes slightly past failure, depending on how you look at it, is a good thing. And I would rather try and do that first, but you still got to play with that, because there's some people where if most things you technically are leaving, you know, basically just to failure, not achieving full form failure or 1 rep in reserve, and that allows you to progress over time. Like, because that's really what you have to measure it. Because like I found that, again, there's sciencey reasons. For the bigger movements, you don't have to always take them to literally vomit whatever failure.
Okay, say it again.
That's
interesting.
The bigger movements I'll find generally, and again, a lot of it is mostly probably due to the load you're using.
We're talking about squat, leg press.
Squat pattern. I'll find that by not taking them technically all the way past failure, I'm able to progress more consistently week to week. And sometimes on smaller movements, you can get away with technically taking them, you know, all the way to failure and still progress week to week. But that really is an individual thing. All of that comes down to the balance of what is the perfect amount of stimulus that essentially you can recover from the fatigue associated with it, and then repeat it again and make progress. You know, actually have recovered from it.
That being said, if I do squats to the very end, like all out, it probably gonna fry my nervous system and I won't recover, so I don't get the benefits out from hypertrophy stimulus wise.
You'll probably still, it's not so much, most likely you could still recover from it, but it'll probably hinder, like, one, how quickly you could still do the following workout. So again, if it's like, so let's say legs, if you're only training them once a week, let's say hypothetically, like that's what you're doing with your legs, you'll probably still grow being able to do that. You'll just be recovering from it, essentially dealing with that fatigue and maybe muscle damage longer. It would probably negatively impact your other workouts at that point in time. So it really wouldn't, lots of times if you were only training stuff once a week, if you went nuts, it probably wouldn't, again, limit your ability to come back and train that muscle again. It would probably, I was waiting for the crash. Oof, thank God. It would probably just limit your ability to train other muscle groups as well, dealing with the fatigue from it.
I had the best results, to be honest, training upper lower, upper lower, upper lower.
Yeah.
So 1 or 2 exercises, 1 or 2 sets, simple failure, not past, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, it's hard to argue against frequency. So once you establish, okay, well, what can I do that allows me to progress, and what's enough that obviously I'm able to progress but also recover from, then you want to have as high a frequency as you can. And then obviously with the bodybuilding world, then it gets just into balancing body parts as well too. So for lots of times you might only train something once a week because you don't need to bring it up. You might train something once every 10 days if you don't need to bring it up, and then play with frequency of, okay, well, what do I want to bring up? Whereas if you're pretty damn balanced, then just doing upper, lower, whatever, half body, it can just work great.
Joe, that video is going to be, I guess, the best video I've ever done, information-wise.
Let's hope so.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things obviously we get of people overthinking things now, is like, because people ask those questions and then I'll know, like, the first thing I'll just tell them is like, how well do you track things? And they won't have an answer because they don't track things. And I was like, well, then that question is not important for you. You know what I mean? Track stuff first, because that's really the gauge of that. Because I always say in general, so if somebody can produce, like, you watch old videos, like, I'm not gonna pick them because everybody already does, but you look at like Paul Dillette or something, like watch videos of him training in the 90s, every single thing he did was like 8 reps in reserve. Yet he was one of the biggest bodybuilders that's ever been on stage. So it's obviously, as you get closer to failure in general, it is more stimulus, but at the same time as you get closer to failure, it's more fatigue. So all of it at a high level for normal people that aren't Paul Dillette is just balancing those things out. And you really don't know if you don't actually keep track of things.
Is there anything I can do better? Last off season, I was writing down everything. So I started doing the upper lower and I had no experience.
Yeah.
So I needed to find out, okay, how was my recovery? It was the best recovery I've ever had. I had the best food in Dubai, meal prep, everything. I was able to sleep 3 times a day, train twice a day, just eat, sleep, and train. Best supplements, like everything was on point. So that was the absolute not changeable thing. Then I was writing down frequency, sets, reps, rest in between. Also, how long does every rep takes to finish? Like 4 seconds or 6 seconds. What kind of machines I'm using. I was writing down everything in detail, and I tried to keep it as locked as possible all the time. Is there anything I can do better in this case? Like, is there anything I'm missing? I was writing down my sleep, how I was sleeping. I tried to measure everything possible.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think you covered all of it. I mean, obviously the only variable from there too, and half of this is the nice part of filming stuff that you do, is then obviously watching how you do things. Because even little stuff like we're doing, I mean, obviously that can always be something in your mind, is how do I improve that kind of stuff? And then if there's the only other outside variable I think of is if you just watch your stuff, making sure that, and this probably is so consistent that it's not something, but you could have, if somebody at home was asking me that question, just some normal person, I'd say, well, how much, because you could say, oh, I'm progressing on these movements, but if I look through normal gyms, as people progress on movements, lots of times their form gets worse and worse and worse. So that's the only other variable that you didn't really bring up, is how you're doing things, that as things get harder and as you progress stuff, is everything staying as standardized as humanly possible? And obviously if you're timing how long your sets and stuff are taking, then you're probably keeping track of all that as well too. Because that's the only other variable I would say for other people, is how you do things is always the most important still. And then the more detailed you get with that kind of stuff, is as you get really fine-tuned, is always just track what's useful for you. So over time, I'm not saying not to, but I don't know how useful it is going to be for you to like be timing your reps and sets and things like that. Because if once you get to a point where you're just a robot and it doesn't change,
from last year's Olympia to this year's Olympia, I added more than 12 pounds of solid muscle in about 3.5 months of off season. I mean,
So
that's
just do that again.
decent.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's not decent. That's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so from that perspective, everything is fine, and I should continue doing that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much sums up everything you should be doing. When people want stuff at the highest level, the more consistent you, like, 'cause that's everything, is controlling variables and how well are you actually doing them, measuring them, tracking them. Because again, like at that point in time, like that's the only thing the same thing, people ask me questions at home, like everybody just focuses on all the wrong stuff, and they've never kept track of their sleep, they don't keep track of their food, and it's like all of that stuff is useless variables. So
That's what I added after the off season. Now I'm using a sleeping mask.
yeah.
So I can see
There's a
exactly.
squirrel. Man, get out of the gym, bro.
Oh, squirrel.
All right, good. Whew.
He
I was
listened.
hoping he didn't come
He
in here. I was
listened.
like, I don't have to chase a squirrel around the gym for 20 minutes. That'd be good cardio.
No, now I have the chance to measure my sleep even better with my watch and my sleeping
Yeah.
mask, because it collects all data.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, perfect.
I got you now. Smooth rip. One more, last one. Yep. Nice.
Another question.
Yep.
If I'm writing down 3 sets shoulder press and I
Yep.
feel okay, I do a warm up, I feel, damn, my shoulder is already smoked.
Yeah.
Do you think it's beneficial to change from 3 to 2 sets, or just to 1, just go by how I feel, or just ignore and do the work?
Yeah, that's a tough call. I mean, because my question would be, why would it feel so significantly different than like the last time you did it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, because that would just like indicate, like maybe, you know, that might be something more where, depending on how you're doing your off days, like did you just need another, off day, reduce fatigue before you go in? But if I don't think there's 100% right or wrong way to go about it. So if it's just basically, maybe you knew even coming in, like maybe I should take the off day, but I just feel like training, so I'm going to train, whatever the reason would be. If you're going to train, then I would probably just reduce volume. Like that's the thing I tend to reduce most, because that's obviously the balance of all of it. Like probably the perfect answer for that would be, if you really go in and things feel like garbage, like take the day off. You know what I mean? Like today's not the day. But obviously I understand the fact that like sometimes the balance is like I just want to train. And so if you do just want to train, then I would probably just go less volume.
Okay, let me ask the question in another way. Let's say we go really good in the side laterals. Like
Yeah.
I feel, oh yeah, I can add like 5 or 10 more pounds, and it feels great. But obviously I'm going to be weaker doing the presses, and I feel doing the warm-ups like, oh, okay, that already feels heavy because I
Yeah.
did some really good side laterals.
Yeah.
But it's written in paper 3 sets. Would
Yeah.
you say like, okay, let's do 2, that's fine? Or just go straight, do the 3 sets and go back home? It's not about the question for recovery, why I'm getting weaker. It's
Yeah.
more like in the situation of, oh, I feel weak, just ignore it and go straight through, or
Yeah, I mean, generally I try not to let feeling deviate the plan that much for that day. But that would be like, because everything I look at it like, okay, well, if this is how I'm going to do things, then what would I maybe adjust for next time as well? So in the moment, in general, I don't change a whole lot, although dropping volume I never really think is a big deal either way. So again, because what I would probably be thinking, like the way I would think is like, if I feel like this today, then in the future I'm going to decide, like would I keep this change this way? Would I keep doing lateral raises like that? And then maybe from now on I'll only do 1 set here? That would be more thing. I wouldn't think like, what do I want to change for today? I'd be like, okay, well if that's the way I'm going to keep those, then maybe I only need 1 set here type thing. And so if I'm thinking today I feel like I need 1 set, then it's probably going to be the same feeling I'm going to have next workout and next workout. You know what I mean? I just think it's kind of like a different, like again, if you're ever thinking of anything this day, then I would probably think, okay, well that's how I'm going to keep my performance, and maybe I'll just keep that moving forward. You know what I mean? And that might be the way that I would like, and like just specific to this, Like obviously today, some of it is I'm going to beat you up a little bit more and just see how things go because we're here. But honestly, like in the bigger picture of things, like that can be a good reason. Like honestly, my programming ends up very often for people having more sets of raises and less sets of presses, just because again of how much pressing you get already. And if you do prioritize raises in general, you know, whatever's later in the workout, you're just not going to have as much tolerance for, you know, for any body part, right? Okay. You know.
So it's more about the workout today is more of an indicator for the next one, and just don't overthink. Just maybe just do 2 sets. You're gonna be fine instead of just ignore your body and
yeah. Because I mean the number one thing you never ignore as well too is obviously, you know, any type of pain or just feeling like if you just feel really off. I mean, who knows what, you know what I mean? You got to listen to that stuff because that's the stuff like, you know, I used to ignore when I was like 20. You know, and then it's like you make and then once you've actually made a mistake and you hit, you know, you're like, oh, I don't feel quite right, and then you hurt yourself, and then you're messed up for how long you messed up, and then you're like, okay, I can't do that again. You know, so as much as obviously everybody, like when you're in, the problem is everybody likes to train so much most of the time, where it's like once you're in, you just want to like, I want to go, I want to train, I want to do it, and you're like, you kind of talk yourself into doing stuff sometimes. You know, so just tired's not a big deal. That might be something like, okay, like we just talked about the answer I gave you, but then if something just feels kind of off or not right, like you got to obviously realize the value of listening to that as opposed to, even if you're just playing it a little bit safe, you know, if you are off and you do make a mistake, that can cost you 6 weeks or months sometimes, you know what I mean?
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, great advice. So listen guys, the feeling is important. And it gives you informations what to do next. What I did personally is I was writing down my workouts from 1 to 10, how it felt, my pump, my nervous system, my muscular fatigue, and then I tried to make good decisions for the next one. So for example, if I did squats pretty well and the exercise right after is almost like I can't do it anymore, it has some reason. Maybe because I did proper squats, or my recovery rate is not that good, so I need to adjust recovery. That being said, is my food on point, like nutrition, the calories, carb, fat, and protein ratio? What about sleep, deep sleep, sleep duration, sleep quality, even oxygen, like the environment I'm in? Do I train in a basement where is no like oxygen, or is it an outside gym? Like all these variables come into play when it gets really precise, and this is what I'm actually looking for. I'm looking for the highest state of quality in workouts, nutrition, recovery. This is why I try to meet people like Joe, or people like maybe one day Mike Israel or Ben Pakulski or guys like that, because these people sit down and put their brain into it, and they have like experience for years and decades. And Joe obviously trains with the best athletes around the world, and you have like his experience is priceless. And it's not just he was reading some books, he was working with people competing the highest level. We're talking people like Rough Diesel, these guys, and they look amazing. And I'm basically binge watching the videos, so I know much about what he's talking, but hear him, like listen to him is so different. If you ever have the chance to book a training with him, guys, do that.
Let's see how you do under pressure. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I